Hi, so welcome back to Real Auto Reports. This is the real first impression video edition of the 2014 Toyota Tundra. I'm Jonathan McGrew and we're here at Real Auto Ranch to talk about the redesign of the Tundra compared to the outgoing 2013 model, and you'll see the majority of these changes really in the interior. This is also a special edition because this is the flagship 1794 edition, one you've probably seen around. We'll give you some insights into it from a real first impressions perspective, so let's get going and check this truck out. All right, so from the front, this is where you're going to see some differences in the new 2014 Toyota Tundra. You've got optional LED running lights here in the headlight housing, and the grille has changed somewhat since the outgoing model. Now, we have the 1794 edition, so what that means is that this is a unique grille to this top-of-the-line edition. You have the chrome around it with this well, what you would call a silver metallic plastic insert in the inside, and then your big badge. I like the grille on the 1794 more than I like them on any of the other models, but you have to step up to this $44,500 starting price if you want to get this look. So that may be a lot to swallow for a lot of people, but it's got some nice features up here like the front park assist, your front fog lights, and because this is such a large front end, and it is fairly square, so it's easy to tell where the front end is when you're driving it, but it's still hard to tell where it drops off. So these park assist sensors will help a lot of people keep from damaging what is not going to be a very sturdy front. It's meant to crumple on impact and keep you safe, but you're not going to want to go bouncing it off things because it will damage it quite significantly, because that is plastic, not metal. It looks like chrome, but don't let it fool you. Let's take a look at the side. All right, so from the side, this is where you're not going to see a lot of difference from the outgoing 2013 model. It's pretty similar, and if you put the two trucks together next to each other in a parking lot, you probably wouldn't go, oh my God, that one's really different. But because we have the 1794 edition, we do have some interesting options that are worth noting. We have the badging on the door here that is the 1794 with the two stars on either side, also in a copper kind of color. It goes with the theme of this bronze mica that they have on this truck. Then, of course, you've got your chrome package with the door handles and the optional foot runners here. And then the 20-inch chrome-clad wheels. Now, these are fairly unique to the 1794 because it gives it that upper-end luxury feel to the truck. They are 20-inch rims, but the thing I'll point out to those of you who are really truck people is how these rims really are almost in line with the sidewall. If you're going to use this truck off-road or on a ranch or for duty, these rims are going to get scarred very easily. At least that was my first impression. You rub a curb with these downtown or in the city, and you're definitely going to scar them up. And this is a fairly expensive add-on to a truck to then have damaged while you're using it in the normal course of what you use a truck for. But all in all, you can see that this truck has a decent sized short box, so it'll be fairly capable. You won't get large sheets of plywood in without leaving the tailgate down or propping them up, but this has become fairly standard in the truck landscape. And of course, the Crew Max cab. This is one of the biggest rear cabs you can get, and you can see from this door that it is definitely large, and I can drive at 6 foot and put my 6'2" father in the back and he'll never touch the front seat. So it is probably more capable as a people carrier than it is as necessarily a truck. But that has been kind of the way we've seen these trucks going. If you look at the mega cab from Dodge and the extended cabs from Ford and even GMC and Chevrolet. You can also look at the Nissan Titan and see similarities. So all in all, it's a pretty truck. It comes together and makes a nice presentation. So let's take a look at the back and see what's happening out there. All right, so from the back, this is your pretty standard rear truck view. You've got your bumper. Now notice that in the 1794, you have color keyed with black plastic. You do have the park sensors in the back, and you have your rear camera hanging down here. Now the thing that's different from the GMC Sierra SLT we saw is that this is pretty noticeable as the rear backup camera, but it is clear and it really does allow you to see what's behind you, and would definitely be an aid if you're going to utilize the trailer package. With the trailer package, of course, you have both pin sets built into the bumper, and we like that. Now, where you're going to see a little bit of difference between this and, say, the Sierra that we saw recently is this does not have the trailer brake controls built into the dashboard, where you could control the trailer braking right there from the driver's seat without having to do what we used to have to do to all our trucks, which was get an extra box installed. You'll find those similar features on the Fords as well, and the Rams. So there are still some things about the Tundra, even though it's full size, that need to probably be addressed if it's really going to be taken seriously as a work truck. But again, the 1794 package is more like the Laramie, where on the Dodge, where you would probably be buying it mostly for luxury. I do like this feature, the soft drop tailgate. A lot of the trucks are going to that, and you can still put this tailgate up with one hand. That is something that has changed from our 2006 Dodge Ram, which will take your hand off if you let the tailgate drop without having both hands on it. So, nice truck. The other thing I want to point out is the back bumper there. Notice the fluid motion that it has with that angular cut, the way it meets the body. It's just a nice little detail. Toyota's doing a nice job. Don't let me fool you on this first impression. It's just there are certain things that I would expect if I was buying a truck that I'm still not seeing them quite get to yet. But all in all, it does make a very nice presentation out on the road and in town. Let's take a look at the inside. All right, so for 2014, from the driver's seat, this is where you're going to find the most difference in this Tundra. The dash has been remade and is much better than the 2013 we saw recently. I like it a lot better. I like the gauge clusters, especially in the 1794 edition. It's got this multi-tone interior with the cross contrast stitching, which I love. The wood blends in nicely with all this leather and perforated leather, and there is even suede inserts in the front seats here. They've got nice high bolsters in the back for your shoulders. It is a beautiful truck inside. It even has these floor mats, which you can't really see, that has an inset of carpet fiber, but then has the Tundra and the 1794 edition plaque around it. Now, the one criticism, because I do branding and marketing as well, and have done for a long time, is that I'm going to give Toyota a little bit of crap from our first impressions that the colors of the logos don't match on every badge in this truck for 1794. But I'll give them a slight bit of a pass. It does also have that same badging up here on the armrest. It's got great storage in the armrest. If you are familiar with the Surface Pro or obviously an iPad, you can lay them flat in that console, which is excellent. The other thing I would ding them a little bit for is that I don't see a power plug in the front here or in the console for an actual electrical plug. You'll find those features in a lot of the new American trucks because people like the power inverter. You'll even find them in the Jeep Wranglers these days, all the way back before 2012. So, you know, just some things to point out. This truck does have an add-on now that they didn't in the previous edition that we looked at, which is the memory seats. It does have the valet feature where it puts the wheel up and slides the seat back for you. And because this has so much room, you're not going to hit your rear passengers. You also have the navigation display and the JBL audio. All of that is very nice. 3 cup holders up here, although the one up here in the very front is probably not all that usable, but it's nice to have. If you have a can, you'll be able to put it there. And then my wallet with my receipts, they have this nice place still alongside of the cup holders where you can put a nice billfold or folder or something. It is a usable truck, blind spot monitoring, roll down back window, level changing headlights for close and farther, light throwing ability. The thing is it going to meet your needs? So let's take a look under the hood and talk about the power, because sometimes that's an important part of these trucks. Okay, so under the hood, you're going to find the standard Tundra V8. Now, something I did want to show you, though, from a first impressions, this kind of shocked me. That's as high up as the hood is actually going to go on this truck. And I just thought that was an interesting thing that hit me when I put the hood up the first time on it. Of course, you have your 5.7 liter V8 under the hood. This is not new to the Tundra brand. It's not new for 14 really either. And it's not going to be the winning part of this vehicle, unfortunately, because of the fuel mileage. You're going to see about 13 miles per gallon in town and 17 on the highway in a 15-mile combined rating from the EPA. Unfortunately, I don't know if you will actually see that because it's mated to an older 6-speed transmission, and with the 4x4 and all these options, you're carrying a lot of weight. And here at altitude in Colorado, we're seeing more around town 10 to 12 miles per gallon. And if you're familiar with the things that you plug into the system and go to the app on your phone, like the automatic, we have one of those, and we're seeing really low miles per gallon out of this truck on short trips. But the thing that you need to know is it's about 380 and some horsepower, 381, a little over 400 foot-pounds of torque. And so it's going to haul, it's going to go, it feels powerful. In fact, it will kick the traction control in on a regular basis if you're hot-footing it around town because there's no weight back there in the bed. But when you compare it to something like the Hemi from Dodge in the same kind of package structure, or even the Sierra that we saw recently, you're going to see better fuel economy, both city and highway, out of those trucks. You're going to see 15 city and 22 highway out of both the 5.3 in the Sierra and the Hemi out of the Dodge, or the Ram trucks. I always call them Dodges, and they are Rams, so people will comment, yes, I know, they are the Ram truck brand now. However, the point is that I think that there's still some work to be done here on the Tundras, but people who love Toyotas are going to love these trucks. We are going to jump in the driver's seat and take a ride and tell you what we think of our first impressions of driving it, so stay tuned. All right, so hitting the road in this 2014 Toyota Tundra is not unlike my first impressions of the 2013. In fact, it's very similar because from a driving perspective, not a lot has changed. The difference in this truck is really in the looks and in the packaging and in this new package in the 1794 that we have here as a special edition. But other than that, I mean, it's not all that different behind the wheel, especially when I first got in it, started up, hit the gas. Everything feels pretty similar. And the things that are interesting about this truck are really that it has this 5.7 liter V8 engine. It has good pickup. You know, when you get on it, it really does go. And, you know, you can even hear our tracking software beeping at me because I did a hard acceleration as it's tracking our trip. And that's, I guess, what I'm getting at with this vehicle, is that, you know, it does a lot of things good, well, not exceptional, though. It's not an exceptional vehicle. It doesn't get exceptional gas mileage. It doesn't have breakaway towing capabilities. And even this 1794 package is really an answer to, like, the Laramie packages at the upper end of the Dodge line, or the Denali that GMC will have, or those type of packages, the King Ranch of the Ford brand. And at almost $50,000, I guess, as a first impressions, I don't exceptionally like the way that it drives. I find the steering very cumbersome. I find it lighter than I'd like while I'm driving. And I find that you have to seemingly spin the wheel a lot to actually make the truck turn. And parking feels more cumbersome than I would expect in a truck that's really not all that big, not compared to my 4-door long bed diesel. And so when I drive this vehicle, it just, those are the things that hit me for the first time. I was like, wow, this really requires a lot of turning to get around places. It's not a death nail to this truck. It's not something that you should not go out and look at it for. A lot of people like the way the Toyotas drive, but it drives similarly to me as the 4Runner, and a lot of people have commented on the 4Runner's older suspension setup and older technology. So those are the things you're going to want to look at in this truck, and you might love it. You might think it's great. I really liked the Sierra SLT that we had better. And at, as I said, $49,715 is tested. This is an expensive truck, so you're going to want to love it if you buy it. Now, make sure you stay for the real wrap-up. Coming up next for our real first impressions and our wrap-up of that, and stay tuned for the real video coming up on this 2014 Toyota Tundra. So that's the Real First Impressions video edition on this 2014 Toyota Tundra Crew Max 4x4 1794 edition. This is an interesting truck because they decided to make it the flagship and go back to the ranch heritage where the truck is built outside San Antonio in Texas. I'm not sure it's a great marketing gimmick, but it does give them something to hang their hat on, like the Dodge with the Laramie and Ford with the King Ranch edition and so on and so forth. So we understand why they're doing it. But right about $49,000, almost $50,000 is tested is a lot of money for this truck, given that it doesn't get the best gas mileage in the kind of 1,500 half-ton truck category, but it does have some really nice features like the complete back window that rolls down all the way as opposed to the small sliders we see in most of the American-made trucks. It also has a lot of rich detail put into it in this 1794 edition. We're going to give you more details in the real video, the real review, including a more in-depth comparison of this truck to the outgoing model and why or why not choose something like this 1794 edition. Mostly it's a looks package, but you might like that. So stay tuned and see what we think, and we'll see you down the road.